Hello and welcome to the show. This is Everything Under the Sun. My name is Ty. Hope all you've been doing incredible this past week. Hope your days have been filled with more and more joy and peace and fulfillment in that place that's deeper and more inexplicable. It's like just because you haven't necessarily accomplished some kind of goal, it doesn't mean that you can't feel fulfillment in your days. And really that's what we're all moving towards, is fulfillment within ourselves, is fulfillment in that deeper place, that fulfillment that just helps us to feel like we're on the right track, that we're doing the right thing, that we're in the right place at the right time, that we're in our flow, and that we're doing what we're meant to be doing. And I think as we move towards peace within ourselves, as we move towards letting down those boundaries that have restricted us in our movements and our mindsets, as we start to let those down, we become more free. And in that freedom, we feel more fulfillment, we feel more joy, we feel more peace. And that's what we're all moving towards. And as we do this work, as we're going through this process, there are so many things that will try to move us outside of that or have power over us in a small way, small p, lowercase p, power over us to move us outside of where we want to be. And getting our power back involves recognizing that these events, no matter what it is, does not have the power to move you. Okay, you are incredibly powerful with a capital P, and that power can move you to wherever you want to be. But it's first in recognizing that all these events, all these things that happen outside that you see and you hear and you taste and you touch and you smell and that stimulate the senses, all these things are just neutral events. They're all very much neutral. And I know that as we start to go deeper into more extreme circumstances, it can be harder to grasp on that concept. So you may be able to see a birthday party as being completely neutral, where I speak of this idea of neutrality, meaning that it's not good or bad. Inherently, it's not good or bad. Because some people may see a birthday party and say, oh, I love birthday parties, I love celebrations. And other people may say, for my birthday, I like to actually spend it by myself. I like to spend it in reflection or meditation, or spending it doing something I love, but, not necessarily a party. So a party for one person may be something that's exciting and joyous, and a party for another person can be something that's just anxiety provoking and brings up just the need to speak to other people when maybe they want to be intrinsic on their day. So there are many things that happen in our lives that are incredibly significant within our mindset and within our beliefs that cause us to feel very powerful about how that thing is meant to be judged. And all judgment is a restriction. All judgment keeps us from truly feeling free, because if there's any situation that we judge as being bad or good, that means that if that situation were to arise, then the willingness that we have to be in a peaceful place can be easily moved or can be easily shifted due to the circumstance that arises. And as we recognize that these events are completely neutral and that we have the power to choose how we receive that information or how we respond to it, then that's truly where we have that freedom. But if we still feel as though war or poverty or famine or someone stealing everything in your entire house or death could be something that is wrong or bad, then every time that shows up, and it shows up a lot in this world, you see death happens every single day. The death of the body, at least, happens every single day. And if we feel as though that can move us, then every single moment that someone significant to us passes on or lets go of the body, then we start to move outside of that place of peace that we want to be. And now I'm not saying that as certain situations arise, you don't feel them or you ignore the feeling that arises. Feel that feeling, acknowledge that feeling, appreciate that feeling, because even bad feelings or feelings that we judge as bad are incredible gifts and, in truth, completely neutral. And we can judge them or see them as we wish to see them. And an example of this is like, there are maybe TV shows or things that you've watched where there's some kind of demigod or some kind of god or something. There's a show, Lucifer, that's what I'm specifically thinking of, where, there's angels and stuff like that, and they're coming to Earth, and they are naturally more like invincible, like their skin can't be pierced and things like that. But in that moment of invulnerability, when their skin can be pierced and they feel pain for the first time, it's something that is like, holy shit, like they laugh and they kind of recognize that it's a painful situation, but the fact that it hasn't been felt before makes it something that's joyous. It's like, I may not choose to feel this again. I may not choose to let this happen again, but the fact that I'm able to feel it, the fact that I'm able to experience it is something that's so incredible. And it is a gift. The pain that we feel in this life is an incredible gift. And as we see it as being a gift instead of a curse or a downfall or something that we're deeming as bad, then it will always be that for us. And it will always shift us into that place that goes along with that negative vibration. But as we shift our mindset, as we shift our perspective towards all situations and allow ourselves to feel what's being felt, but ask, do I choose this again? Do I choose to feel this again? Because there's situations that we've come through time and time again. It feels like we're going through this cycle where it's like, oh, the situation comes up again and I'm going to feel upset again. Oh, the situation comes up again and I'm going to feel anxious again. Oh, the situation comes up again and I'm going to feel the feeling of depression come back into my experience right now. And that is something that it's having power over you. It's moving you outside of that situation. And there are many situations, again, that may seem heavier, like letting go of the body, the death of this material world, or whatever that may be, how you see it. But there have been cultures and civilizations that have celebrated death, that have celebrated it as a passage to move on. So if death in itself was inherently bad, then there can never be a situation when someone can feel joyousness. And people can feel joyous even as they shed tears. Okay? You can imagine maybe a family member that's been suffering for years, maybe bedridden and really in excruciating pain and really wanted to go. And you can recognize that it was a good thing that they were able to finally move on, finally let go of the body that ailed them so much and caused them so much pain. And you can see that as a good thing. So again, every situation, every single situation is incredibly neutral. And it's up to us to see how we're going to respond to it. Even war. I mean, many people may agree that war is not something that we desire, but there are many people that do desire war. There are many people who voluntarily go to war because they feel as though it's the right thing to do. You know, and there's no judgment on any decision that's being made, but recognition that the perspective that we have in any situation can radically change how we're experiencing this life. And that is something that is powerful. That is one of the biggest things that is the key to our happiness and ultimate unequivocal freedom. It's recognizing that there is no event, there is nothing that is in this world that can move us if we do not want it to. But it's not until we recognize that we have the power to choose that. Because maybe for centuries and decades, people have seen theft and robbery and having all your things stolen as being a bad thing. Now you wake up one morning and you realize that everything in your house is gone. You can see that as a bad situation, and then corresponding thoughts will come in saying, why can this happen to me? Why does this always happen to me? I can't believe this happened again. I can't believe this is going on. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? What's going to happen? How am I going to replace? All these thoughts can go through your mind, and they bring up anxiety. They bring up more worry. They bring up depression. And all these things can be very valid. Like, yeah, you have to replace all these things, or yeah, all of your things got taken. But in truth, it is a neutral event, and you can respond to it in a different way. You can say, well, most of my important things had insurance on it. I got the protection plan or whatever that may be, and I can get those replaced. I feel fortunate enough that I have financial means to replace these things. We can shift our perspective to acknowledge the situation, but recognize that it's not going to be something that moves you outside of where you want to be. You get into a car accident, you're fully covered. You're like, okay, well, I can get very upset that this person just rear-ended me, but I recognize it's not my fault. And maybe I am going to be without a car for a few days, but maybe I have rental coverage. Maybe I have insurance for that as well. Maybe I can be reimbursed and the insurance company from the other person will pay for it. I don't have to worry about this. And if I do have to walk to work for the next week while my car is being repaired, then I'm very thankful that I have the ability to walk. We can shift and change anything that we see and perceive in this world to be something that does not have the power to move us. And that is the freedom that we all desire. That is true freedom. Because again, if anything can move you in this world, then you cannot have true happiness. You cannot have true joy. If you can't allow sadness to be something that is felt and appreciated and experienced, and recognizing that I can choose something different next time. I can choose something different right now. If we don't feel that we have the power, then that power will not be within us. But that power is here, and it is always here. It's just your acknowledgement of that power that allows you to use it. Utilize that power. Recognize the circumstances and situations that would move you outside of where you want to be, and ask yourself, is it possible for me to feel something different? Is this situation itself, if this happened to everyone else in the world, would everyone see it in that same way? And it's not to base our judgments and our beliefs on what other people believe, but seeing that other people can respond to something differently allows us to recognize that, hey, maybe I can even respond to this differently. Maybe I don't have to respond to it in this way. Maybe I can see that this loss of a loved one, or this death of a loved one, is something that I feel the sadness of it. I feel the longing for their physical presence and their physical embrace in this world. But is this something that I have to hold on to? Is this feeling something I have to hold on to? Is this belief that adds to this feeling, this belief that I'm separate from this person, that I can no longer communicate with this person, that I can no longer feel the love and connection from this person? That belief, do I have to believe that? Do I have to hold on to that belief that brings me so much feeling of sadness? Because in those cultures that they celebrated death, they celebrated the passing on, a lot of those cultures also recognize that their ancestors and their loved ones have not really gone anywhere, and that they are always with them. There is a huge cultural shift that happens when we start to speak about these heavy topics in a different way, but we haven't done that. So maybe the conversation can start with you, and start with your family, and start with your loved ones, and you can start to shift this to where that other people aren't being affected by that same thing that has been going for so long, that being maybe passing on the body, theft, or war, or whatever that may be. You can bring comfort to those around you, those that you love, by bringing first comfort to yourself, and recognition that this situation, it is what it is. And I can choose to feel bad about it. I can choose to feel sad about it. I can choose to feel angry about it. I can choose to feel all these things that don't feel good for me. Not that they are bad, not that they are good, but the feeling that I have within myself is something that I do not choose to have again. It's something I do not choose to hold on to any longer. And it doesn't mean that the feeling or the sensation or the thoughts will disseminate instantly, but as you do that work more and more, there will be things that plague you less and less. Something that was always an issue for me that, even sometimes still I get slightly aggravated, and I have to remind myself that I don't have to experience it in that way. And that is being in traffic, or being around people that are, driving really weird, or like not really, essentially like road rage. I never got in the yelling phase, but there'd be tempers and aggravation that starts to build up inside of me. And, I'd be behind someone slow that has their blinker on for so long, and it would bring up anger in me. I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you driving this way? But then I would remember situations when I was lost, or I was going to a new place, or I didn't know where I was going, and I was driving below the speed limit. Maybe my signal light was on because I was trying to figure out exactly where I was, and it was on longer than it needed to be. And there were people angrily driving around me and speeding around me, and I would apologize within my head or in my car, and they couldn't hear me, obviously. But in that recognition, next time I'm behind someone slow, I can give them the benefit of the doubt. I can say, maybe they're lost. Maybe they're looking for some new place that they haven't been to. Or maybe they're just a slow driver. Whatever the case may be, I don't have to feel the aggravation that's arising. I don't have to. I can calm myself down by recognizing that maybe they're in the same situation I've been in. Or maybe I can just calm myself by recognizing that the feeling of tension and anxiety does not feel good for me. I don't want to hold on to that. And yeah, I might be late for work, but what can I do about that? I can't do anything about that. I'm stuck in traffic. So I'm going to do the best I can to experience this moment right now the best way I can, because for all I know, a meteor can come down and destroy all the traffic and me along with it. So it's just like, okay, why would I waste moments of my experience, of this experience that I'm feeling right now? Why would I waste that on feeling bad? And there's nothing wrong with those feelings as they arise, okay? I don't want them to be shamed or put down or shunned because they come up. I mean, it's very natural. But the choice comes, the freedom comes in your choice to choose how you experience that in a different way. You can experience it in a different way. And that's really all I wanted to speak about in this episode is truly that choice. And it's something so, so powerful. And I wish I can explain just how powerful that is. But as you do that work for yourself, as you recognize situations that will normally move you, start with small ones, like maybe sitting in traffic, or maybe someone chewing with their mouth open, or something like that, something small that's like a pet peeve. Start with that and recognize that I don't have to be angry because this person is doing this. I don't have to get upset. I don't have to go back into that dark place that I've been before just because this situation arose. I am free, and I have the power to choose how I experience this. And it is all about how you're experiencing it, because the situation itself may not change at all, but your experience of it will change radically. And that will be something that uplifts you. It's something that feels great. It feels incredible. And you will sit in traffic and you will smile, and you will recognize that your favorite song is on the radio, or you will recognize that, it's a beautiful day outside and that you get to see a beautiful sunset, or whatever it is. You get to be with yourself and recognize the peace that's felt within the body, and how that is your experience in that moment. And you can validate that as being what you choose to experience in the next moment. And maybe as someone cuts you off right after traffic starts moving again, that aggravation builds up and you say, wait a minute, my favorite song is still playing right now. I don't have to hold on to this aggravation. I'm going to be late for work. I can't do anything about that. Am I going to lose the job? Did I like that job as much as I think I did? Is that job something that consistently causes me stress as I'm driving to it? I can be on my way to be 10 minutes early, and is there still aggravation, or is there still anxiety that comes up as I'm going to this? Because this is telling me something about a pattern that I've been in for a long time. As these things arise, as these discomforts arise, as these thoughts arise, as these situations arise that would move you, recognize that it's been a pattern. Because that feeling is coming very automatically, isn't it? That sensation, that the way that your body starts to viscerally start to shift according to what you're experiencing it's because it's been a cycle. It's been something that's been going on and perpetuated for so long. So recognize that that's a cycle. And in that moment that you're stuck in traffic, you can say, this has been a cycle. I've always been stressed out as I've been going towards work. I've always been worried that I'm going to be late or I'm going to lose this job. Is that something I want to hold on to anymore? Because all the facts may be up there, like I've been late to work this many times, and if I'm late one more time, then I'm going to lose this job. That may be a fact, but it's not going to make traffic move faster. It's not going to make your life feel any better right now in that moment. Okay? Recognize that you are living life right now, and allow yourself to choose what you want to experience in each and every moment. And it may be something that it's like, well, I don't know if I have the ability to choose about everything that happens. You may not have the ability to dictate what comes into your experience, but you can choose how you respond to it. You always have power over that situation. And recognize that. Empower yourself with that knowing, and allow yourself to use that in each and every situation. All events are completely neutral. All events are neutral. Allow yourself to recognize that. And if you recognize there is some illness that comes into your body, maybe the world would see that illness as being something that's bad. Recognize that that situation is a neutral situation. It's a neutral event. And you can allow yourself to go along with the world's thinking of, yes, this is bad. I need to feel bad. I need to hold on to this bad feeling. Or I can allow myself to recognize that I want to feel peace. I want to feel joyousness. I want to feel health and vibrant. So I'm going to embody that as much as I can, starting with healthy thoughts, starting with vibrant thoughts and exciting thoughts and thoughts of peace, thoughts of well-being right now in this moment. And that is a choice that we all have to make within ourselves. You cannot make anyone else see the world the way that you see it. And as you move through situations and you see other people, the driver of the car that you're a passenger in, and they're getting angry at traffic, you can maybe then some kind words saying, yeah, maybe they're running behind, or maybe, remember that time that we were on that road trip and we kind of got lost and we were driving really slow? Maybe that's a situation that they're going through. And then maybe they completely ignore what you just said and they stay aggravated at this person that's driving. Let them be as they are. Because you allowing your tensions to get high because this person isn't peaceful or isn't at peace while you're able to have peace, then that's again bringing you outside of that place of peace. When we try to make other people think a certain way, or make other people move in a certain way, or align themselves with our mindset, then that is also bringing us out of that place of peace. That is another situation that is completely neutral, and we are choosing to focus our attention on how wrong that person is being, how irrational that person is being, when we don't have to do that. We can hold our peace within ourselves and say, well, that's just what it is. And I can beat my head against the wall right here trying to get this person to change their mindset, or I can be at peace within myself and demonstrate that there's another way. And even if they don't see that demonstration, maybe as they're in this enlightened rage or in this fit of rage, they look over at you and they're like, why aren't you more angry at this? And you're like, well, this is my favorite song. And you turn up the radio. It's a beautiful day outside, and you acknowledge that. You don't have to force anyone to believe anything in alignment with what you believe. Just move and make the choices for yourself. And as you make those choices within your life, others will see that they can do that in their own lives. Your children will see that they can do that in their own lives. Your neighbors, your parents, everyone is able to see that there is another way, that there is another choice. You can be in excruciating pain because of some kind of lasting condition and recognize that, I can be so wrapped up in this thought of this pain that I'm feeling constantly. Or I can recognize that this pain will be here whether or not I think about it or not. So let me just think about things that are more pleasant for me. And as you do that, you will recognize that circumstances and situations outside of you will change, because that is just how things work. As we start to make those choices for our happiness, for our peace in all these different circumstances, then things may shift and events may come up that seem like they are bad or that you would judge as bad. But as you consistently make the choice to keep your peace, despite the circumstance and the situation, situations outside of you will change. The physical world will change in accordance. It will change. But it will start with your experience of it. Because the situation may not change instantly, but your experience of it, again, will change instantly, and it will be incredible. It will be really all that you want. And then as it changes physically, you're like, well, this is just a bonus. But change it within yourself. Recognize the power you have within yourself. Recognize that these events and every single thing is completely neutral. And you can choose how you respond to it. You can choose how you want to continue to see it, and the patterns and the foundations of the new beliefs that you wish to start to instill in that moment. So that's all I really have for this episode. If you have any thoughts or ideas or anything that you'd like to share, you can send those to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com. You can join any of the social media groups: Instagram, everything.sunpodcast, Twitter, @everysunpodcast, the Facebook group, @everysunpodcast, and the YouTube page, Everything Under the Sun Podcast. And yeah, that's all I got. I love you all so much, and I will talk to you soon.